You're welcome, very welcome back. And this is one with a difference. This has no giving out or scolding government. This is a separate thing altogether. This is number 25, and it's on education and examinations. And see that on my channel heading and caption, it has real, true, educational and not fake news. And this is strictly under the educational heading, and it's particularly for people who may be doing exams or the parents of children and children. So I don't know whether I'll get it all done in one, but we'll give it a go anyway and see how it goes. So how do you go about doing a written examination? And is there any trick in the trade? Well, in my opinion, there certainly is. And there could well be even 12 to 14% in marks to be picked up by adopting the right approach. And I might have to do 2 videos on it, because it's one of those that you can believe me or not, and I don't mind. But it's a pity to put such effort into examinations and not get a good mark for the want of approaching it right. So we'll go over a bit of it. I might get it all done in one, and if I don't, what about it? I have a pause facility here, and would you believe it, I bought this cheapish Abilai camera, and I bought it for the only reason that it had a stop record. I'm going to do it now for you, just for a second. I have this little fella here. Now you might tell me that you can get this on any camera, but I did very serious research, and I can tell you the Abilai is the only one that I can find that'll do it. And I went to the shops and I spoke about Canons, Sonys, all of them, JVCs, Panasonic. I couldn't find one with a pause record. And just watch my glasses now as I do this. I'll try and stay perfectly still, right? No, not yet. Have they moved? I put them down. Now I'll pause again. And they move up. The whole thing is me to stay still. But the big thing at the pause record is that you can get a paper, a document. You don't have to spoil your whole video. And some say that the police don't like this facility, that it would enable people, let's say, to record a riot or something and fake it by cutting out segments. I don't know. But I think it's a vital facility that's not available on some of the great or the good cameras. Is amazing. But some may say it is. That's what I found anyway, all over Ireland and Dublin, and they're as well up as anyone. Now, this is for students, it's for parents, and it's for results. I suppose there's no harm for me to say that I do my best here. I can't take responsibility if it doesn't work or how it's applied. I could end up being sued by some student who didn't pass and saying I put them wrong. So I have to put in that proviso that I won't take responsibility for it. But nevertheless, have a think about it. This will give you thought, food for thought. And of course, exams are different depending on the different types of exams. So even parents might see something in this, and I hope they'll see a wee bit of wisdom, because I can tell you, it's given in very good faith. I can tell you that. Now, one of the first things is don't study something if it's not going to come up. You might study something in the wintertime out of interest or something, and if you have an interest in something, that's good. But sometimes the school and the masters and the mistresses and the lecturers and all that will drop hints about something not being on. And they'll tell you directly it's not on, and catch that and pick that up. I did a business studies course a few years ago, and one thing that was big on the course the year before was hire purchase. Now, hire purchase is nearly gone. As far as I know, there's really no hire purchase. Remember, I bought my first television aerial, I got it on hire purchase. But I think that, used to call it the Never Never, I think they did away with it, or they changed the law. But the lecturer came in and said, don't study it. And when you hear that, forget about it. Don't be studying it, for God's sake. Now, in some exams, the lecturer sets the exam. In many third level institutions, it's the lecturer who does the class who will set that exam. In second level, And just for people in America, we have college, which is university, that's third level. Second level is the secondary school. It's between the baby class, the national school, and the third level. It's the college. It's between roughly the age of 13 and let's say 17 or 18. That's second level. So it may be different. And in America, there's different high school, and there's this, that, and the other. Public in England, there's public school, which is a private school, and there's a private school, which is public school. Oh, don't talk to me about them. But anyway, it'll depend on the circumstances, and I can't tell you what that is. Now, but if the lecturer is setting the exam, listen very carefully. And if you're absent for a day or two, or you get sick, make sure to ask around. Did he or she say anything about what might come up, or something that they have a bit of a thing about? And sometimes lecturers will have a bit of a specialty, and they'll dwell on it. And if you find that coming up, note it down, get to know their thinking like that. It's very useful, because it might be a pointer on what will come up. Generally speaking, they'll have one or two pet subjects, and you've got to know that. But if it's something like the leaving certificate, which is second level school here, that's set by the department. Sometimes there can be a wee bit of an idea of what's coming up, and sometimes the department might see a wee mistake or some confusion, and they might actually send it round, and the teachers mightn't copy it on, or they mightn't tell you. So you'll have an idea who sets the exam, depending on whether it's third level or second level, and there'll always be general idea of what can interest the examiner. And there are exams also in professional bodies, such as the police, even the Garda Síochána have their own exams. And years ago, some of the guards would be helping each other out, and there'd be a chief or a superintendent supervising an exam, and he'd know the guys inside, and he'd come out and he'd give them answers. And very often he'd get them wrong. He'd answer the wrong question. And in one case, this particular chief, who was used to drinking with the boys, gave a whole lot of answers, and he read the question wrong, and they all failed, or most of them failed. One or two copped on where he was at. And it can go to things like law schools have exams, medical, etc. I knew a case of a foreign doctor who was doing an exam here. He wasn't a doctor, he was a student doctor, and he scored a bad fail in his medical exam. You can imagine that flop written on your eye. So anyway, for certain things they do be quite strict, even on medicine and veterinary. Very hard exams to pass, because they just simply cannot let dumbbells out. But I'm sure an odd one does. Any event, when it's coming up to your exam and you have your study done, and one piece of advice I'm going to give you, and it's just after coming to my mind again, is don't overstudy. Don't overstudy. For example, if a question has 11 sub-answers, so we'll say that, it can be A, B, C, D, E. You must have a license for A, B, C, D, E, or whatever it is. Or we'll say it's health and safety. You check your harness, you must check your visual protection, you must check your yellow vest and all that. There may be 11 points in it. And you keep studying to get those 11. And no matter how often you study them, you'll leave one out. Don't make the mistake of overstudying. If you can get 7 or 8 of them, or even 9 of them, it might be just plenty. I've known people to be studying to get them all. Oh, and they write them down then. Oh my God, I missed one. And they go off over it again. Now, if you want to get a question like that and you want to see, do you know it? Remember, you're going to have to write this question down on the answer paper. So get it written down on your own study time. Have a go at it. If there are old question papers on the same subject, get them and write it out. And see how many you can write down. And you might find you can only write down 4. And that brings it home to you that you are not up to that standard. You have to study harder. You need to be getting every question across the 60% mark around that. Do you understand me now? Don't overstudy, but don't understudy either. And the way you know if you know an answer is if you can write it down. If you can write it down. Don't be all the time reaming it off, because there could be a disconnect between your writing hand and your thinking head. And the only way you really know is give it a go to write down the question, write the answer down. And then if you write it down during your study time, and you hear the lecturer giving you some extra bit, oh, I hadn't that in. So by proving you can write the question, you are proving to yourself what your standard is and how well on you are and how much more work you need to put in. But if you're getting 9 out of 11, my advice to you is don't go back to it. Just do a bit of revision for it. Don't go back for 2 marks when you could be studying something else. And the question might not even come up. You're better have a 60% knowledge of all questions than having 100% knowledge of half of them. But if they don't come up, you're in trouble. Do you understand what I mean now? Hope that helps. Now the next thing is check your transport getting in and out of the exam. And in most cases you can share, and the parents of the other students will be dead on. But you can get a harum-scarum fella or a harum-scarum girl, and they let you down. Assess them. You do not want to be thinking about transport and other problems. You need to have that built in and concentrate on your studies and on your preparation. And I remember one time I was prosecuting a court case, or I was following up a judicial review on an environmental matter, and I had to go in myself as a lay litigant, and you're under the spotlight there with several barristers, and it's not easy. But one of the things a person asked me who wanted to help me in it, can I do anything for you? You know, and he probably thought he could study for me or something. And I said, yes, I want you to provide me with transport. And he'd no problem, he had a car of his own. I want you to leave me that I have absolutely no worries about transport. That's it. And he did. And another guy then came along and he said, do you want me to do that? I said, yes, you come up and make sure all my documents and my files are secure when I go out for a cup of coffee. Oh, that's no problem. So if you're getting people to help you with little things like that, give them specific jobs to do. It might be an uncle or an aunt who will collect you afterwards or something like that. Make it clear to them what it is and make sure you can trust them, because you don't want to be tumming a lift and the exam starting. Now, so you understand. And assess who you're depending on, because there are people out there who know they're going to fail and they'll try to bring you down with them if they can. So far so good. We're getting on. I don't know if you find that useful. I'm at, I think it's 13 minutes there now, and we may have to make another video, and it's one of them I can relax, because if you're a student or a parent, you listen to this and you might see some goodness. Now I'm going to give you rule number 1. Rule number 1. Stay 5 minutes longer than the allotted time. If the exam starts at 9 and it ends at 12:30, you aim to be going out of there at 12:35. Oh, you'll say you can't do that, they'll be coming. I've never known a supervisor to snatch the paper and not let you do it. Right, put your name and your number and everything on it before you come near the end and have that all done. So if he does grab it, you can have your name on it, you have some marks. But this idea that for some reason you have to be leaving before the allotted time, and at least 10% of students, I've seen them, get up and walk out about 2/3 the way through. Now either they're geniuses or don't know how to answer the question. And no matter how bad you're doing, there's always wisdom in revising the subject and go back over your paper and adding in little things you forget. Don't fall into the dumbbell trap of getting out of there. And don't go with people. Don't travel with people who will get up 20 minutes before the end of the exam, or maybe an hour before that, and say, are you coming? Are you coming? I'm done. You tell them to hop off. Have nothing to do with those time. Get to hell out of me life. And don't travel with them. And don't rely on them for coming home, because they'll be sitting over you. I'm ready to go home to me mammy. They'll be packing shelves and cleaning the toilets when you have your career. Don't fall for that. And they're everywhere. They're everywhere. Sorry if I get a bit upset. You stay the full length in every exam and go through the process I'm setting out here. So I've said that here again. Ignore the leavers. Ignore the ones walking out and hanging around, smoking out butts of cigarettes. Oh, I need a smoke. Let them off. There's nothing to do with them. Now, the next rule is, rule number 2, is there's no shortage of paper in most exams. Now, this will depend on the rules and get to know it yourself. But in most cases, you can ask for answer paper after answer paper. And if you have a full of a car trailer of it going home, all the better. Now, if the lecturer won't let you have it, or the examiner, the exam supervisor won't let you have it, that's alright. You check all this out. But the first thing when you go in and you sit down is you may get answer papers before you get the question paper. And if you get the answer paper and there's no rule against writing at an early stage, you need to be writing down things that's hard to remember. If you think something's coming up or you're going to have a problem, write plenty of stuff. It might come in useful. And don't forget, before you go in, you should be studying all the things you think that may cause you problems. There may be complex bits of stuff you're hard to remember. Get it down, if you can. If there's examiners waiting there, there's 5 to 9 and they're coming in and they're going and coming, you get it down. Write it down on your extra answer paper. Now, you'll not be allowed any other paper. So if you can grab an answer paper off them, get it. Can I have an answer paper there? Give me it here. Put it down there. And you have it then for bits and notes. Now, if that's not possible, and that may not be possible, there's another very good use for the answer paper, which I'll come to. And that is that as you tackle your questions, you will think of things in question number 2 that's relevant to question number 4. Write it down, because when you come to that question, you may get a memory block. You may not be able to remember, and you'll have it down here. And when you are doing question number 4, you may think of something you should have put into question number 1. The first question you did. You're allowed to, the second question. So you might think of something that you forgot. So you can stick it into this answer paper. Or you may know there's a question coming up, question number 5. I'm going to do that. There's a question in it with such a thing. Oh yeah, stick it in there because it might be only brief. You might forget it. You might have 2 points to easy remember. You might remember the third one. Get it in. Stick it in here for a minute. Rough writing. Into that scrap paper. You have 1 extra answer paper. That's all you probably need. You might have 2. You'll have 1 extra answer paper and you're jotting down notes all the time. So have you that point? Don't be afraid to have an extra paper if it's allowed. If it's not allowed, then there is another little way of doing it. So as I said here, write down long complex stuff. Get it down if that's allowed. If it's not allowed, that's all right. So you get the paper. And one thing they can't stop you scribbling on the paper. That paper must be destroyed. It must be all black, white blobs, red lines, black lines, Tipp-Ex and every damn thing else. I'm at 19 minutes. So remember now what I'm saying. Now, that's long enough for a video. So I'm going to end and come back again. I hope you're enjoying this, because I believe this will get you a good mark. This will work. This will work. I have applied this in exams, and why not have a go? So listen, it's long enough here now, as I say. 19 minutes, long enough. See me back in a minute. I'm going to make the next one right away now when I get a cup of coffee. And thank you. We'll see you then.